What's up, everybody? Welcome to another AMA. This is fantastic. I'm actually really excited about this. This is actually our very first collab AMA, and I gotta be real. We have been talking with the team of the Awakening behind the scenes now for like 30 minutes, and I almost forgot to hit record because we've just been jamming, and we're just like, this is the AMA. We should start early.
Yeah.
But it's been fantastic. For those that don't know, my name is Todd. I am one of the founders of Adult Fantasy, and we'll just go down the list and introduce ourselves. To my left, to this way is James.
Hey everybody, I'm James. I'm also Paco the Bard on our Discord. I'm with the team of Adult Fantasy, and I'm super excited to be here with folks from The Awakening.
Hey guys, Lawrence Davis, Awakening NFT in The Awakening. I'm the creative director and one of the owners for The Awakening project.
All right. Hello. I'm Melissa, and on our Discord, I'm Shira Boom, and I'm one of the devs on Adult Fantasy.
Hey everyone, this is NFT, who is NFT over at The Awakening NFT, and I'm so glad that we're finally live. I guess people are actually listening to us talk instead of us just talking to each other.
I know. We were having a great conversation. Let's see what we got. Let's see. We got Dusty in here. Oh yeah. What's up, Dusty? How you doing?
Hey, Dusty.
Matthew's in here. Welcome. Alicia, welcome. Moggs, hello back. Jay Silver, what's up, man? How you doing? Especially Swarmers. Yeah, Swarms always shows up in droves, man. Swarms always shows up. Moggs, yep, that's now they're gonna fight. I love it. We got Swarm up in here. We got Primordials up in here. Hey, Tiger Mentor, what's up? Everyone always pops up with different usernames. I love it. What's up, Deshaun? Let's see. John, hello. Yeah, definitely smash that like button. We're on YouTube and all that stuff. So like, subscribe or whatever, hit the like button, whatever. Share it.
That's mandatory. That's mandatory scripted dialogue.
That's right.
Exactly. It's so true.
I feel like don't pretend it's not what it is, dude.
I know. You need to do the mandatory like finger drop, smash that like button, share, do everything. Michael, what's up? Welcome. Maztero wants NFT to show his handsome face.
Yeah.
John, let's go. The God of Amazon, hello, welcome. Justin, what's up?
Is actually someone that works with me. She's a creative partner in almost all my projects. She's a good friend of mine.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. She's got all her DNA is a lot in The Awakening as well. So I want to give her a big shout out.
Fantastic. Yeah, this project looks fantastic. I can't wait for you guys to tell us more about it.
Yeah.
And we're just getting started. Awesome. So we've been talking a lot behind the scenes. So, one of the things that's going to be, I think, really cool about this conversation is that, naturally we're going to talk about our projects and, talk about all the good stuff there. But we've had such a good conversation so far about just the NFT space in general, what brought us in, and kind of the crossover between comics and animation and technology. So I'm really curious between NFT and Lawrence, like what got you guys into the space? Like what actually like first jumped you guys in?
Well, with me, like I was telling you kind of my background, I've got I'm a caricature of a human at times. So I guess it's only fitting that I found myself in cryptocurrency. But I was a security contractor for a little bit after the military. Got paid in some cryptocurrency once, just got fascinated by everything I could achieve. Smart contracts, what they lend, how they give power back to the people. I'm not going to go on a gish gallop, but like one of the bigger things about how like, hey, when the Fed deleted a bunch of debt, there's no transparency on that. You know what I mean? And sometimes I do see crypto as a way of not decentralization, but autonomous, transparent centralization. So a lot of my leanings and how I think things should be worked and things like that got big into it. And then, like I told you guys, being totally real, despite being a comic book nerd to the max, a science fiction author, consultant for several projects that I'll talk more about here, just kind of was not feeling the NFT thing. I guess I was just kind of being a crabby old wart about it. And then finally somebody sat me down and really illustrated just what it can do. Like you said about provenance, how you can shard contracts, how proprietary rights get really back to the people who cultivated this art in the first place. And I just went, fucking bet, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
And so that was some kind of my role into it. And actually NFT was a big, we have a relationship. So he was a big person to help me navigate these waters. And when this opportunity came up, it just was an easy fit for me,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I came from similarly. I just fell in love with technology. I just think the future implementation of all of this technology is going to just change the world as we know it. Be able to create so much more opportunity for authentication, and making sure that things are really what they are, and giving so many more opportunities for artists in particular to have a medium to express their art and capitalize on their communities. I think the coolest part is there's such a big disconnect, in particular with art collectors, I think, where you can build a personal relationship with an artist who deserves to be so much more well known, but there's such a smaller following because of that. There isn't any easy way to look to actually view it, appreciate it with the community, and so all this technology put together is giving that a much larger opportunity. So being able to mix that with a lot more, I guess, business oriented things like property title, medical records, taxation, things like that. I just think that there's so much more that this can be utilized for. And that's what really got me into it. And meeting Lawrence and starting to work on this project together has brought me much more over to the artistic side. I'm so excited for so many more artists to be recognized for how incredible their work is because of this technology, this new medium.
Oh, I think it's going to crack open everything. I really do. I think it's a surefire way to finally give creatives a piece of exactly what they deserve for the work that they do. And speaking for myself, so my background, I started off at Cartoon Network in the late 90s. So right as Cartoon Network was popping, just right place, right time. I was graduating college as a fine art major, between comics. I'm an old school comic nerd and fine art painter. So I was doing both of that stuff. Yeah. And Cartoon Network was just popping off in Atlanta when I was there. And so I just kind of hopped in and moved up the ranks from inker to animation assistant director, to animator, assistant director, and then director, at Cartoon Network, and then moved up on my own, started doing music videos. So I started animating. Dirty South hip hop was huge at the time. So I did a lot of stuff.
ATL, Outkast, all them boys.
That's right. Actually, I ended up doing a couple of videos for Outkast for their Stankonia tour. I worked with the Roots when they were doing stuff with Dice Raw, and did a video for animated intro for Tony Braxton. So I got to do some other stuff with Dungeon Family, like little bits here and there, and I was all for that. I was like, that's my future. Like animated music videos. I was down. And then that just sort of morphed over time because it became really obvious that the internet was going to kill the music video star. And I was like, all right, well, so ended up popping up to New York, spent about 20 years there. Worked with Saturday Night Live, TV Funhouse stuff, and started my own company, animation stuff, moved into comics, produced toys, manufactured them, did stuff with Kid Robot, and always just never stopped, always making product and pushing my stuff out there, pushing my work out there. And it was always a fight from my personal experience, it was always a fight to get your name out because, you're a lot of these products, unless you're known as an owner or you have built up a kind of an influencer following, right? And most of them, at least my generation, there wasn't kind of that influencer following per se. There was celebrity, but that influencer part came a little later. So, you do 150, 200 commercials, everybody knows them, but you don't get to, it's not like you're signing your name to it, So when NFTs came along, and by that point I had, the work ethic is there, the willpower is there, the drive is there, and the proof the proof is there, I've got 20 years of putting stuff out in the market. So when the NFTs came along, I had actually, my last big project was actually working with Marvel, where they brought me in to kind of go through so Marvel has like 8,000 IPs. They have 8,000 characters plus. Most people never heard of them. Most people know, Avengers, Incredible Hulk, Spider-Man, Iron Man, like they know the top tier stuff. But they brought me in and I went to the bottom of the barrel. I just went literally through their filing records to find like the worst characters you could possibly find.
You stopped at like Armed Detached Man and then went back up, right?
Oh yeah, no, I went my like I found the worst. Like I found like characters like Hate Monger, Hate Monger is a character who was a Jack Kirby invention, and he had a purple outfit he looked like a witch, right, with like almost like sheer leggings on and like a witch costume, and he had a big H on his chest, and he had this hat that looked oddly shaped like a KKK hood, and he had a hate gun, and he would shoot you with his hate gun, and you would start to hate people. Stupid character, but what was great about this character is when
he's worse than Snowflame.
Yeah, what's that?
You think he's worse than Snowflame, the guy who used to do cocaine to get power?
No.
In the 80s.
What was great? That was a good one. What was good about Hate Monger is though you would take.
I was going to put a picture of him just to be funny, but he looks like a purple. He looks like a purple Klansman. This is a terrible thing that they made.
Yeah, you're googling him. Yeah, here.
Have you seen pictures of him?
Let me Google him.
It's bad.
So here's the funny thing. Let me Google him so people know what I'm talking about here.
Hey, shout out to Jack Kirby. I will say, even though he missed on a bunch of characters, built great pantheons. And one of my favorite stories ever is when he was writing T'Challa the Black Panther, that run in jungle action. They were like, you need to put more white people in the comics. So this isn't going to get any sales. So he introduced the KKK and had him just whoop the shit out of everybody for a whole.
That's right.
That was Jack Kirby. He's like, yeah, there you go.
There you go. Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
That's totally true.
Yep.
Let me see if I can hold this. So here's Hate Monger. I think this is the right tab. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You see him.
Yeah.
So Hate Monger here is like this guy. So what's really funny is when you take off his helmet, he's actually a clone of Adolf Hitler.
Oh, there he is on the bottom left. I see him.
Yeah, the bottom left.
Oh my god.
Missed him. Bottom left. Oh yeah, there he is.
You know what really breaks my heart is there was a writing room where everybody was excited about this for a minute.
Yeah, someone had to be okay with it.
I was like, oh, man, you know what? Adolf Hitler with a hate gun.
That's right.
Exactly.
Well, you know the Cartoon Network Adult Swim guy and me is just like, I want that guy.
Let's get him off the screen before we get flagged by YouTube.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, good point. So anyways, so ended up bringing these characters back and got to work with Stan Lee to actually pitch them, and it was a huge experience. And then when NFTs came around, it was really like the first time in my life I felt like if you were to put my body into a Venn diagram, right, it was like the pop culture side with comics and animation, and then you had the fine art side with my background in fine art and having worked with artists like a guy named Jeff Koons, who I was an apprentice with for a while, and Jeff is the most successful artist since Andy Warhol, and then that third ring of the Venn diagram is the tech startups, because I have a lot of experience working with tech companies and being as an advisor and mentor to tech companies. So when I saw NFTs and I saw that you could actually have provenance and you could be recognized for your work, and that was going to follow you for pretty much forever, I was done. I was in. It wasn't even a question, and I dropped everything with James. And we were just like, all right, adult fantasy, let's do it.
Dude, Todd, I got to tell you, because people don't really have the metrics and we can't really get the fanfare that they know, being a child of those generations, Dexter's Laboratory, Johnny Bravo, those things were legacies.
Yeah.
They were the first. Imagine if you NFT'd some of those, you would be talking to me.
I know. It's funny. We've had people so I'm using I came up with an art style for adult fantasy, and we already have a lot of people they're like, so when are you going to drop like a Dexter's Laboratory style character, and when are you doing your Powerpuff Girl style character? I'm like, oh man.
I gotta tell you, Invader Zim's the closest we've ever come to getting near Dexter.
What's that?
I said Invader Zim's the closest we ever got.
Oh, Invader Zim, badass.
No, that was great. I loved it. But what you guys did over there, I think was a precipice of, Americanized storytelling in this medium. So I think it was very cool.
Yeah, it was, and I think that's what, and to an effect, like what we're all doing, right? Like we're taking all these things that we grew up with and the things that kind of inspired us either as kids or whatever. And we're kind of pushing all of that cool stuff into this new lens, right? Yep. It's so interesting to me. If you look at the history of software, the first round of software is always taking things that are manual and making them digital, right? So you're taking that manual process and you're like, well, how can I automate that? How can I make that so that instead of 5 people doing that, I can have the software do that for us, right? So that is always, at least at the birth of software, that was one of the key things that pushed these companies forward. Is that it was a very easy proposition to create a piece of software like an Excel spreadsheet where you could create Excel and you could have this all saved and all of that, as opposed to using like ledgers and books that could get lost in a flood or anything like that. So it's always creating that manual process and pushing it into the digital realm. And really, if you look at like 2000 by 2010, there was already, at least in tech, mobile apps kind of came in and at the early aughts and kind of pushed all that stuff. And it was all of a sudden it was apps, and everybody was making OS apps and Android apps, and the app boom kind of came. And then at a certain point, there's like this peak, and everyone's like, now what do we do? Right? Because are you really going to create another social network? You're going to try to beat Facebook. You're going to try to make a dating app like Tinder. Like, what are you going to do? And all of a sudden you've got NFTs and this new technology that's finally ready for mass adoption. And it's like everything is open again. Like you can do anything. Like it's almost like you can just look at like, what's the most successful company from Web 2.0? And let me just add like, but with crypto or but with NFTs, and you're just like, good.
Dude, let me put it on a smart chain. Even if it's just a basic ass marketplace and you come in and you use our tokenage, then what's going to happen is if people want that information to know about you, then I'm going to kick you some of the data I sell them because it'll be sharded into your, it's the wild, wild west. We talk a lot of things about that in that space, you know what I mean? And why that's so exciting. It's the natural progression for all of this, especially people that want to give not just provenance back. I can't say it like you can. I should probably learn though, but not just proprietary back. Do you know what I mean? But like accountability. You know what I mean? Transparency. It's really exciting with that.
Well, and that's your point, Lawrence, is really important, which is transparency. Transparency has become more and more and more important, even over the course of this year. Like because people are asking, how is this project backed? Who are the team members? Are these people going to be here in the long span of time, or are we getting people are now reaching a point where they're looking at projects. I mean, it is the Wild West, but even in the Wild West, people are looking at their gun, going, "Well, how is this gun made? And is this gun going to last me? Is this
right.
And I think that one of the questions that we've been facing over the course of the year of building this project is, how are we building in long-term value, for the project? How are we building in crowdsourcing? How are we getting people to really understand the value of the long-term ownership of the community? And we were talking about Discord, right? And and like that we're really playing in a whole new world of community building, where the community, and here we are talking to you guys, right? I mean, your success is critical for our success, because every project that creates something with a long-term sense of vision and planning and a clear roadmap and a sense of, every project that does that makes other projects look better.
Yeah, agreed.
I used to say this thing in the military all the time: competence builds confidence.
Yeah.
Like it's that simple. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I absolutely believe to that. And one of the things NFT and I really got into the mat about was, how can we scale this appropriately? How do we make sure that we have a good roadmap for the future? And how do we know that we're not going to be able to disappoint this community, because we don't want that to be our hallmark? Do you know?
Yeah.
It's why we scaled it to a project that we're both still very excited about, but think is super manageable.
Yeah.
Especially because guys like Todd, a little bit younger, less gray in their beard, like me and him, they hear about a dude like me that'll let you really kind of run loose, and I'll protect you from what's out there in the world, so long as you meet the metrics I need you to. So long as you're a good teammate, I'll be a great teammate.
Yeah.
And these guys are incredibly talented, and yeah, they could make good money, but what, if they believe in their prowess, they can make great money. And so you'd be surprised how many of these dudes are really wanting to take shots like that. So it's really been, at least in this medium, with what we're at. I can't speak to larger NFT projects, can't teach ones with different names than ours, but this has been very manageable, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah. I think you speak into a huge point about manageability and understanding. Like, I think it's one of the things that we've talked about internally as a team is, there's such a desire, and this is like, there's such a desire to perform, and you know how good your project is, right? You know all the ins and outs of it, and like we get excited about the stuff that we're launching next year because we know what's coming. You know what I mean? And on the flip side, there's such a pressure, and we've talked about this where it's I almost feel like it's so easy to overpromise and underdeliver. It would be so easy to go right now onto a homepage and say, like, just buzzword keyword buzzword, the super popular things that you see a lot of projects do, right? And I'm not going to point fingers or anything because whatever. But it would be very easy to say, here's the things that are going to attract people that are just going to like guarantee, boom. And it's a whole different corner to take to say, you know what, those are all things we want to do, and those are all things we know we have the technical ability to do. But those are also things that you said are not manageable for us at this point in time. Mm-hmm. And so let's make the promises. Let's make the promises that are going to excite people enough to stick with us, to grow with us, because the people who stick with us and grow with us now are going to have their minds fucking blown 12 months from now, and then 24 months from now, and then 36 months from now. And it's a very unique kind of pressure, I think, that I haven't felt before, where there's this expectation, and we talk about it, there's this expectation of selling out, right? Like the collection should sell out. That's not necessarily the truth. I mean, look, we all want to sell the project out, right? But there are plenty of projects that sell out and then don't do well. And there's plenty of projects that have a totally botched launch and then just do magnificent, phenomenally well after that. So it's all across the board, and I think it's such an interesting paradigm to have to kind of manage those pressures a little bit. You know what I mean? It's a very unique thing. It's a very unique thing to this space that I find fascinating.
Well, I believe in, like I said, I was a military veteran. I'm always super proud of that, and I'm first to talk about it. I have no bones about it. I have some of my friends who are also veterans that roll their eyes, but the reason I talk about it is to illustrate the tenets and values it brought into me to carry here. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Mm-hmm. I'm not worried about selling out because NFT and I have a great roadmap for the future. I'm not worried about creating. Of course, again, I want an excited community, and I want them to be a part of it. And I want to create and germinate a lot of dialogue as possible. But we went into this with a very meticulous plan. Even if we didn't have the uproarious response, and we really had an exciting response to date as it is, but NFT and I could carry this product through the finish to at least make sure that we deliver on what's promised. And that was really important to me.
Well, not only can we, but we fully intend to. We're already almost at this point, almost selfishly, we want to tell our story. We're hoping someone is there to listen, and we're confident that that's going to happen. But we're planning on following through with everything that we have to offer because it's so important to us, regardless of everything else. That being said, our community is front and forward. We want to make sure that they're well taken care of. And that we deliver, like you guys are saying, is we're not putting out false promises. We want to make sure that they're buying something because they believe in us, and that is probably the most powerful and humbling thing. And we want to make sure that we give them everything that we have.
That's right, and I think you guys, I think we're all on the same page. Like, and I not to speak for you guys, but I do think we're all on the same page of like, speaking for ourselves, like our goal in life is to like make every single buyer. Everyone who mints and everyone who purchases from now until the day we drop dead, is just to make this the most collectible, most important, most appreciated, right, item that we can possibly make. My goal in life is to make everyone say, "Holy fuck!" I mean, who doesn't want the next base seat? You know what I'm saying? Like, who doesn't want to do that for people? Like I want, my to be able to push value into a project so hard that you're changing people's lives is like what I think we all live for, and it goes back to Lawrence, your point. It's like, if here's how I think about it. Again, not to say that none of everyone on this this call wants to sell out, and we're all planning on it and doing it, pushing as hard as we can. But I see so many people and so many projects that are just like fly by night. And I gotta say, like, if the success of your project depends on you selling out, then you don't have a business.
Yeah.
What you have is a get rich quick scheme.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like,
Absolutely.
that doesn't happen in any other area. Like, you don't walk into a restaurant and be like, "Did you sell out today?" And they say no, and you're like, "Oh." You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't occur in a normal economy. And granted, we're in wild west time, but you can't plan. Like, we're not planning purely for that. We're planning for the future. Like, we're not building a community for a launch. We're building it for a life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a great way of saying it.
And also, I mean, just to, the other thing about I hope you guys talk about more about your project too. I want to say a couple of things about what we've created, because it's we have tried to be as playful as we can in the space, because we've seen other projects that are doing great things of 10,000 unique avatars, where and we looked at that and we're like, yeah, we could do that, and we actually did all we for a while we examined that as a model, and then we were like, how can we throw it on its head? How can we completely do this differently? Right. And so we began talking about a universe and creating a universe for characters, and Todd is a fantastic animator. He's amazing, and he's creating 25 unique characters, and we've built a universe in which these characters live, and we're creating the entire backstory as a sort of playful sandbox for these characters. Yep. And then we created a technology for the characters to be minted, and we gamified it by creating a way to mint these 25 characters, so that each mint, regardless of which character you get, is a completely unique mint in its grading. And our characters are graded at beginning. Each card or NFT that someone gets is completely unique in its aged form.
So because Lawrence, we were talking before this. So Lawrence, you have graded CGC books, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're familiar with the way that graded comics work.
Absolutely, COAs and all that nonsense.
Completely. Yeah. So one of the things that James and I and the rest of the team, when we were putting this together, we just had our original thesis that kind of popped up, was like, well, what's the problem? What's a problem that we can address within NFTs? And one of the things that we came up with was that, well, the NFTs by their own making are digital, right? And all digital objects are perfect, and they're perfect from the jump because they're digital, right? So if you make something in Photoshop, it's digital, it's perfect. As an artist, if I try to make something look damaged, it's still by definition perfect, because I have to physically put in. It actually takes more work to make something look beat up than to have it look.
James,
like
isn't this interesting? We're circling back to the be a paragon of imperfection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
More for jeans that looked vintage.
That's right.
That's right. and so what we said is like, well, how can we actually bring something in? Bring something in from the real world, right? Which we're just talking about with like software and technology, and how you kind of bring something in from meat space into the digital space, right? And that always tends to be the first movement of technology, and also play with this idea of perfection and imperfection, and being a comic nerd, and then also having kind of like this messed up sense of humor with like Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, and all that. I mean, we just talked about Hate Monger, for God's sake. It's like, well, what if
you guys got a lot of fastballs over the plate in the day? Good job.
For real. But it's like,
being a kid going, that's definitely a phallic reference.
But so what we did is we ended up creating this case, a CGC style case. So we designed our own case that is a fully graded case. So what James is saying is that you get, I mean, this is where the sense of humor comes in, because I like to mess with people. It's like, so it's 10,000 unique NFTs that feature 25 characters. And people are like, oh, 10,000 unique. Wait, how the hell is that? Like, it just breaks. Like, how do you have 25 characters?
10,000 dissonance.
Yeah, it's like, what does that mean? So effectively, what we have is that we have this case that on Mint, when you mint an adult fantasy NFT, every single person who gets an adult fantasy NFT, the starting grade will be 0.5, which is poor. It looks like a truck ran over it. It looks like it's got water damage.
Atomic levels. Oh, you clever.
Yeah,
it's bent. It's bent.
It starts
folded, creased.
It starts
worn.
So everyone starts off at 0.5.
That's a good one. I have a good one for you after this. I'm going to see if NFT won't get mad. No, please finish. That's a good one.
So it starts at 0.5. And then what happens is I wish Flint couldn't make it, but Flint invented this technology where essentially the smart contract triggers an algorithm that runs all the time for a very long time. We're talking like years. And what it does is it continually essentially rolls dice, and effectively every day you have the chance for that grade to increase, and the card actually improves and gets better, right? So it gets better over time from 0.5 all the way up to gem mint, and where it stops, nobody knows. Right?
Yeah. So your card may reach gem mint, and it may stay at 0.57, or it may go to 5.0, and that is completely randomized. And your card will uniquely, so your card, at the 0.5 of your card is not like the 0.5 of Todd's card.
Right, completely.
Your card has its own wear and tear and folds and bends, and where it stops in its de-aging process is completely unique.
Yeah, and so one of the things that we're really curious about, and it's really exciting and it's really scary at the same time, is that what we see this case as being able to do is, if you look at the NFT space and you look at your PFPs, there's really two corners of value, right? The first corner of value is rarity traits. So that's your laserized, your gold fur, your
Todd,
crowns.
Can you hold on to this thought for 1 second?
Yeah.
I'm going to signal to you in a way you understand.
All right.
I now know for sure you're older than me because you went CGC grading, and my big rabbit out of my hat is variant.
Yeah, fair.
That's because I'm a 90s kid.
That's right. You went variant.
Rob Littfield and I. So I'm going, that's a great idea. Why did I think of that? And I'm going, I had this great thing of variants I'm going to tell you guys about. And I went, oh, he's like 5-10 years older than me.
I'm an image kid, man. I'm cool.
No, I know. Dude, okay, all right. Tom Robert Kirkman, before it was cool to know his name. Yeah, I remember when I used to cry with Mark because he killed innocent people and he was figuring, I'm there. Yeah. Rex is a really underrated character in Invincible, and he goes out like a gangster in the Invincible.
Dude, Invincible's the comic is so good.
But please, I didn't want to interrupt that thought.
No worries. So variant, great. So basically, in NFTs, you have two different types of value mechanics. Primarily, I mean, there's a lot, but if you just were to just overly generalize and put them into buckets, the first is the rarity trade, right? You've got the laser eyes, the golden skin, the rainbow, whatever the project deems as rare. And on the other side, you have token ID, right? So you look at something that has like the original Punks comic, when they launched it, the lower token ID, the serial number actually became the market. The market determined that the lower the serial number, the higher the value. So Punk's comic number 1, the actual first mint, I think sold for like, I don't remember, a couple $100,000 or something like that, right? So those are kind of the two spreads of the rarity trades. And what we looked at with the case was and this is something we honestly straight up, like, we don't know what's going to happen, which again is exciting and kind of scary. But when you add this case to it and you have this grading mechanic to it, you're actually kind of creating all these different opportunities for different value structures. Because now it's like, well, what happens when you have something that's super rare? Like let's just say you have a mythic card, which is the most rare, right? You have this mythic card, but there's 3 of them that are gem mint 10, right? but then but all of a sudden you have a common card where there's thousands of them, but there's only one that never went. That for some reason the algorithm was like, nah,
it's the consensus of the community.
Right? It's completely.
I'll throw a bone to James. I'll get nerdy in a way he'll vibe with. I consider myself as a soldier who wrote a bunch of books out there, like the super poor man's version of Tolkien. So
I love that. Oh my God, is that so awesome, Lawrence?
Thank you, brother.
That is fantastic.
And so I built in like my Blunt Force Magic, like the series I wrote, I'll tell you guys all about. We'll dive into it.
Yeah.
I wrote this series and I had like one pithy, fun character, blah, blah, blah. There was like 3 blog posts from like really known like reviewers talking about just how amazing and insightful. And I'm going, fuck, I just kind of threw that one out there. And I'm going, I got to give this guy depth. People, you know what I mean? So you almost have to be careful too, because you can scale this whole thing and we're dealing with very capricious creatures.
Yeah.
They're like, yo, this is cool, but we love that. And I'm like, that guy's going to die next episode. So I better like, you know what I mean? Like, so anyway, I didn't mean to
no, that's awesome. I mean, I listen. I am literally re-listening to the Lord of the Rings read by Andy Serkis right now, because he's so fantastic.
It's so
you know, and also like I mean, I'm an old time gamer. Like I literally played D&D when D&D was in a white box with it.
I ghost wrote for almost a ton of fucking worlds. Here's almost I can say I ghost wrote for a bunch of stuff in 3.5. That's all.
Awesome. Okay, that's fantastic.
Hey.
When Farron first got to put templates in, I was the dude that fucking bailed, and they were like, "Can you do any of this?" And I'm like, "We'll fucking find out." And this is back in like AOL days, so they knew I was a screen name. I'm telling you, this is what I mean about the token thing.
Yeah,
I was the dude in Iraq going like, "Fuck, I got to get these emails together." Like, I was gonna have somebody who just bailed on everybody. So, you know, you love that quote, "Fake it till you make it." Then somebody hands you a job, and you go, "Oh shit." Yeah. But it worked out very, very well. And that was the first time I went, I love stories. I give them as much character as possible, and I do it with integrity. So don't be afraid to get out there.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So tell us about. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that part of the challenge we've had is to build, because we haven't talked about the crowdsourcing of our project, but one of the critical things that we really want is to create a world in which people want to play. Right. To create a world in which other people want to write and get excited about the stories and get excited about the character building and get excited.
How did Star Wars become this wonderful marvel of a thing? It wasn't George Lucas. I wouldn't trust him to read me out of a fucking bag. But like, you know what I mean? Like this community came together and they gave such love and volume and history to this beautiful soap opera he put in space. You know?
Mythology, man.
Absolutely.
I'm going to tell you guys a little bit how I'm doing this project, and I think it'll freak you guys out, but I think you'll fucking love it. So
cool.
Go for it.
I'm waiting.
There we go.
Yeah, let's do it.
So one of the things that we've even kind of hit on it organically. You never know which character is going to resonate. Do you know what I mean? You never know, and especially this because you're building it for a DAO, for a community, for things like this.
Yeah.
What I did is I used Joseph Campbell character archetypes because they speak to all of us, and I try to introduce some of the new progression we're seeing in the society and the world with a certain sensitivity, so I can incorporate more storytelling that reflects those worlds. And I'm not afraid of being a progressive. I think that's the only way your mind grows. I'm a veteran. I pay my taxes and I make a lot of money. Fuck you. Like I do my job. So, but what I mean by progressive is like, making sure you're sending out a voice that everybody can connect with. Connectivity is paramount in this space. And we migrated it to it because of that. So I have built our world. I've built our challenges. I've built our pantheon above, and I've written great stories for the characters as an introduction and things that are coming in the future. But I've stopped there. I developed the world and more challenges because the community is going to tell me which is the hero of this story. That's how we're going to do this differently. I'm going to make sure everyone has depth, but like that's how NFT and I are going to make this about the community. We're going to keep them engaged and enrolled, and we're going to do that DAO type system. So it's a little loose, but I, at the end of my day, am a bard, and I think James will like that. I'm a natural storyteller. Put me on stage, and you need to feed off the energy. Do you know what I mean? There's two types of storytellers: one that wants you to go up there and listen to him, and one that want to entertain you. I'm here to entertain you. Do you know what I mean? And hopefully, the day will come where my story's so dope, you guys come to a place that I can run my suck about whatever I want, and you'll be happy. But that day hasn't come yet. So I want to build something for the people, and I do want to keep it structured in this format, but. The way we're doing this, I think it lends itself to the tradition that the NFT space is trying to cultivate within crypto.
Mm.
And it also keeps it exciting. And also we're producing. You know, one thing NFT's big with me is goes, Larry, that's a wonderful way of saying you're not doing your job. And I go, all right, here's some stuff around. You know what I mean? And so we get there. So the Awakening is really exciting because these characters are all going to be deep. They're all going to have a place in the story. They're all going to always be paramount in some degree or another. But you guys are going to tell us, you know, where to play them. Well, what placement you want to see? Who's really reverberating throughout there? And I think you keep building, like you guys say, you build the sandbox, you build the world. You know what I mean? Because time will come. You know, we've talked about all these great heroes, and you know they've run through 3 Robins, and those are supposed to be throwaway sidekicks. But Tim Drake is leading, you know, Young Justice right now. You got, you know, Dick Grayson as Nightwing is still allowed to be called Dick in the modern world, and he's a cool character taken seriously. You know what I mean? Jason P. Todd, Red Hood, forget about it. That's a Punisher with like a different kind of depth.
Right. Yeah.
Each one of these have rolled off because that enterprise is so good at churning out stories that you still relate with, because they bring in variables that you have something, you know, Batman, you're constant, but they allow these new avatars and totems around him to reflect on the times. So story building can be done in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? And I have no problem saying that I'm doing it for commerce, because I want to bring really, you know, I want equity for those people who invest with us. And I want them to know there's a direction and there's a path, but you can marry passion in that. So that's
100%.
how I really am trying to build this, to keep it loose, but make sure that it's not so loose that people are panicking, you know?
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting challenge, isn't it?
And then hold on, the last thing, because the CGC.
Oh, yeah.
So what I did that's different than you. God, that's such a good one. Oh, I'm so mad about that. I'm competitive. That's such a good one. But what I did is, when the stories come out and you find out who the heroes and villains are, and you have both those NFTs, and that first issue comes out, you'll get the variants.
Nice.
Roll the variants.
Yeah,
so I'm not. It's a different way of playing the same game. Do you know what I mean?
That's very, very nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So if you have 2 characters who don't belong in the same ecosystem for whatever reason, but they get on a pithy adventure, we send that out, you get the variant. So it behooves you to own these. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So cool. I like.
I don't know. That was a good one too, man. I'm like really like it was.
Well, here's the thing. We're also looking. I mean, you know, this is we don't talk about that. I mean, some people on our Discord know, because we talk about it a little bit. But one of the things that we're also looking to do in 2022 is actually take that card case technology and just start pushing it out, and partner with people, because it's not just about the grading. It's about there's a lot more that we've actually developed beyond just reverse aging, right? Yeah. So I love it, man, and I love how you guys are. I totally love that idea of taking a couple characters and saying, okay, well, what happens when we put them together? And then you actually are allowing for almost like an open world build, where based on community feedback, you can actually start to morph and play. And Lawrence, you bring up an awesome point, man. And that's like, this is something that we've talked about too, where, you know, this is the first time, like, especially coming from comics, coming from Marvel, coming from Cartoon Network, like, the fans are always seen as like the secondary subject, right? Certainly when we were growing up, there was more of like a fan service aspect to it. But it was always seen as like, and I can tell you just from doing it and being in the room, like, it's always seen as like,
you might laugh at this. You want to know where I really learned it?
What's that?
Where?
Storytelling and wrestling.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Absolutely. I can
those
totally
guys,
see that.
Miami's a mecca for a bunch of those dudes. And as much as they're tough guys that will whoop your ass in a bar, they cared about what the people thought.
100%.
So it was very interesting. You know what I mean? Because they're living avatars.
That's right.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I'm a real ass nerd, James. Don't worry. We'll get along.
And it's so interesting because, like, you know, there was always this almost like the separation. There was the creator class and the editorial class, like the actual producer class. And then there was the fan class. And it was like, well, you put something out and the fans like it, great. If the fans don't like it, well, you know, whatever. For a while these companies were building, if the fans didn't like it, then the companies would listen and they would change. But over time, especially as these companies have become so much more powerful, they don't really give a shit anymore. And in fact, I mean, you Google it, like, you know, toxic fandom, like all these phrases now where it's like, well, if the fans don't like it, well, then fuck them. And one of the reasons why that occurs is because there is no way for the fan to actually own. Like the fan does not have any.
Fan reacts. They don't get to be a part.
That's right. They do not. They don't actually get. They can input, but they don't actually get to participate in the profit sharing or the actual benefit of the hero or villain that they've helped create. The reason Venom is popular is not because of David Michelinie or Todd McFarlane. Like, sorry, it's not true. Like, yeah, it was great art and a great story, but it was fans.
Spider-Man 278, the cover, first time.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But it was like, but it was.
He said pretty much. That means I got it wrong, and he's being nice to me.
No. Because I don't remember. I remember visuals. I remember visuals, not the number.
You know the cover I'm talking about, Todd McFarlane.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep, I do. Yeah, I mean, I've got the run, but like, it's the you don't you know, the most interesting thing is that you don't like the way that fans are interacting with the content. It needs to change. It needs to change, and you didn't ever have, like I said. So going back. So it's not about David Michelinie or Tom McFarlane making Venom. Like, they're not the people that actually made that thing popular. What made that thing popular were the fans who were like, "Yo, that's the coolest shit I've ever seen in my entire life." Like, that was it. It was over. Now it's a blend, right? Like, if the art sucked or the story sucked, it probably wouldn't have been as popular. But it's the blend of the two. And so what you're witnessing now, I think, with what happens with NFTs, like if you look at the blue chip NFTs, if you look at you know, Pixel Vault or Basie or Cool Cats, and like any of the projects that have done phenomenal, it's the people who are coming in. They're not. I almost hesitate to call them fans because they're co-creators. You know what I mean? Like they're coming in and they're like this, and I think that's going to be the big difference. And this is why I get excited, because, you know, we talk about decentralizing Disney or disrupting Disney or things like that, and I think, you know, it's not a fantasy, right? Like it took Marvel 50 years to become what people kind of recognize as Marvel. But now we already have a community of people ready to go. And it's like, the minute you say, hey, you might have missed out on the creation of Spider-Man, right? But now here's a whole new brand, a whole new universe. And if you work with us together, we can create the new Spider. There's going to be the next Batman. There's going to be the next Wonder Woman. There's going to be the next Robin. So bring these characters in, right? Let's figure out together which ones you're going to know by audience reaction, like which ones people want the comic book of, or the T-shirts of, or the new drops of, or the stories of. And as you build that up, certain characters are going to drop and certain characters are going to take off. And the people that actually have sweat equity as well as invested equity, because they are in the project with you, they're going to get rewarded for the project overall taking off. They get to be a part of the new X-Men franchise. You know what I mean?
Imagine when your burn rate becomes like, you know, whatever 52 does to rewrite itself this time and kill everybody. You know, like, I don't burn tokens. I'm going to murder these 3 characters, though.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Just erase them.
Yeah. We don't have a speedster yet, so Barry Allen's not coming to save the day, guys.
That's right. There you go. Yeah, we don't either. We need to do a speedster next.
You know what's funny, man? It's so, because I'm such a nerd. Like, there's a part of me where, like, I'm like, I don't want to touch a speedster. Why? And I'm like, because it should kick everybody's ass. I'm like, no, what do you mean? I'm like, no. Like, I'm a big Superman junkie. I got like every seminal issue you could talk about outside of #1. You get Wally West on a full rip, you should just beat the bricks off him. Like, you know, the science about it. So I'm just kind of like, all right, we'll be careful there. We'll figure something out. Although it's nice to have something that could retcon for you. Oh, rewrote the timeline, guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah. You can always rewrite the timeline. You just always, just add it's an alternate universe. We're good.
Yo, that's what Marvel did. At least I expect that. Marvel was like, no, we're just going to another world. Like, DC was like, again. When you think about how many times they've killed everybody off,
I know.
Is anybody actually a good hero in this world? But
I know. I kind of got lost with the whole Krakoa thing and the X-Men. I was like, okay, so they're all dead and they all come back to life, and are they mutant? I don't even know. They're plant people or something. I was like, all right. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put that aside and work on our stuff.
Yeah, no, actually, I held on to DC forever because I'm a romantic, and when they retconned everything like 2 times in a row in 2 years, I went, all right, guys, I did my best. Like, I'm getting old, and I can pick 3 characters I like. But
that's right. I'll stick to the
John. Especially more recently, those storytellers are just kind of diving too much into what fans want and just retconning everything, and just there's not even any continuity in those universes anymore. They're just doing what they think the fans want to hear.
Yeah.
Which I feel like finding the balance in between the point is what makes a really powerful story, because, we ultimately have the biggest understanding of the universe and what could potentially play out. We want to make sure we keep everything on track and making sense, while at the same time listening to what people love. But sometimes we have to make decisions that are for the greater good of the universe.
Well, there's that, and also like, what kind of story do you want? Like, you want to cater to the audience, but you want to create strife. Like, and unfortunately, being upset sometimes really internalizes an emotion that invokes a kind of response you want as a writer. You want to elicit an emotional response. So, you almost have a responsibility too to piss people off. So,
well, if you're not pissing people off, I feel like you don't have people invested enough. If they're really pissed off that you just made a decision that they weren't happy about, that means that you have created a phenomenal story. People can connect with these characters in this world.
That's right. I mean, you always gotta position whatever it is, whether it's a story or a business, you gotta position it somewhere between mainstream and crazy.
That's true.
Right. If everybody likes you, you're milquetoast. You know what I mean? Like nobody, it doesn't work. So you're gonna piss some people off, and that's okay. I mean, it's not something you try to do, but you're gonna have to. If you plant a flag, planting a flag is gonna piss some people off. Other people are going to rally behind it, and those are people you want to work with, and the people who are just like, what the hell are you doing? This is crap. I hate it. I hate you for doing it. You're just like, well, all right.
So another way to look at that, when I think that both of our projects take a lot of courage to create, and one of the important things about that too is that when you have the courage to step forward with really clear characters and a clear story and a world, and you send that message out, you are a beacon, and you're inviting the right people to come and celebrate, right?
Yeah, but it's the fine line between being abrasive and antagonistic.
Well, yeah, I hear you, and I think that's part of being in the marketplace, right? Is that you have to. I mean, I think that for all of us here, we've been in the creative world or the business world presenting things for quite a while, so we have a sense of where we fit into the cosmos.
Well, and one offsets the other too. Do you know what I mean? You guys both put down very successful practices to get into this. That's a passion project. I'm a lot more spoiled. I've told you guys before, and this is my proudest achievement. We created a hedge fund for cryptocurrency with a very agreeable buy-in point to get people that, this bridge was a bridge too far for them, but if they trusted the commodity and they trusted the people navigating them in that space, they'd get on. So I was a chief investment officer and still am at Pantheon Financial, and it's just a wonderful thing. But our CEO came in and he just kicked ass, and he systemized this and he put a real business spin on it. And now that Chris Porton is basically going, hey, Larry, go talk to people about crypto and sit down in front of investors occasionally. He doesn't need me. Do you know what I mean? That discipline and this passion now allows me to go to the next projects. And I'm going to tell you guys that become a brand into and of themselves can marry. How do I do something that's my passion and also turn it into a project, And you need that offset energy. NFT is a great thing with that, but Chris Porton with my hedge fund was that,
Yeah,
I said, I disturb it now when I come in there. Hey guys, you want to talk about crypto? No, Larry, nobody needs you here. Go. But that's what you want. Like my hope becomes one day where NFT's going, hey Larry, write this and try not to curse too much on this podcast. That's why you bring partners like this in, because they believe in these passion projects and they believe in these new, fresh ideas, but they know the discipline to have the follow through so you can produce something.
Yeah.
Those guys are integral. Like I said, I would not be here without my partner from Pantheon Financial. He set me up to do whatever I fucking wanted. In this space, I'm allowed to really do what I'm great at because NFT really creates such a great systemization around me the same way my hedge fund did.
Yeah. Isn't it a blessing? I just can't especially maybe it's because it's hitting up the end of the year soon. It's just looking back, where we were in January or February of this year compared to what's going on now is just so life-changing and so different. And I feel so absolutely blessed that we're just caught it now, and are just like you said, just the ability to say, hey, I'm in a position where I can do what I want and actually have a chance to make it happen is not something that most creative people have not said that or been able to say that for most of human history. And we're talking up until like a couple of years ago. Again, like most artists,
like I said, Todd, you'd be retired right now with what's gone on in your, like, I mean it not as a platitude to kiss your ass. This and that, you know, we get along, like with what you put out in that space and what royalties for that should be, especially in how we've now built that structure. Imagine if you had a project hit the way yours did in this space.
That's right,
dude. I mean,
around and a Jack Daniels going, yeah, fuck you, Larry, I'm still talking. Like, you know what I mean? I'd love it.
No,
like,
but it's 100% true, and I mean, and you can even extend that to other creative endeavors.
Oh,
right?
I'm sure there's thousands of them.
But it's absolutely true. It's like you've got there's so many. There's so much creation out there and so many opportunities and so many things that you can make and have, at least in my case, have made. And, you know, this is really, like I said, for me, the door opening was, you know, I think because I'm a little older, and because I have experience launching startups and businesses, and because I have experience launching brands and working with like these top brands creating IP, the minute I understood that blockchain was permanent, or as permanent as we can understand permanent to be, and you were able to like tie in perpetual royalties for a creator inside of a smart contract, I was like, this is it. You can't beat this. Like you can't beat this. There's no, and it wasn't even a self-interest. You know, it wasn't even like I can do it. I'm gonna make like, oh my God, like. It was the opening of a completely new opportunity for every creative person who's ever wanted to write anything, draw anything, paint anything, let alone the other opportunities for the technology, right?
So I'm one of those guys that like if you go high, I go low. Do you know what I mean? If you're too optimistic, I'll turn into Nietzsche on you. But
I love it.
Well, what I'm saying is like I love creative types and I try to feed their energy, but I've found a lot of them, and capricious is my nice word for it, but they lack follow through.
No, 100%.
This community does not fuck around with that.
Yep.
So like I have a lot of creative friends who like I love them, like and I bring them into prod, and like I'll be like, hey, can you help me? If I ask you for the third time, like, can you do something? And you don't, I'm on to the next person, and they'll reach back, and I'll go, hey, don't worry, you're gonna get paid. If this works out, I got you, but like.
No,
it doesn't. And look, in a very loud world where we need to be sensitive to mental health and issues going on within communities that we haven't been ideally great to, and all these other things I want to be compassionate about. I'm also a kid that grew up broke as shit that joined the infantry during a time of war to pay for my college. Like I realized you got to get up to get ahead.
Yeah.
And so in this space, I'm really careful about going, can you keep moving the mechanism?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's one of the, I would say that.
And not even for me. I'm not some like pure capitalist. Like I'm saying that we're now in collaboration. With the community.
100%. And
absolutely.
I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see that that's separates the wheat from the chaff, right? Like you're going to have artists who are like, look, coming from the art side, I was always in this weird position where all my artist friends thought I was a business guy, and all the business guys thought I was an artist. Which I thought was a huge disadvantage, and then it turned into like the biggest advantage you could possibly have. And you know, the interesting perspective on that is that you have artists who are not going to be who are just flaky as shit, and that's okay. But you're also going to have the ones that like, look, I woke up at 4 this morning to work on this project. We hopped in a car at 7 a.m. Eastern time, 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. In North Carolina, got here in Florida at 6, threw down some dinner, and I'm on a live call, and I'm having a blast. I'm ready to go for another couple hours. You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say, what part of Florida are you in? Let's get drinks after. No.
We should. We'll talk for sure. But you know, this is the opportunity for people who are, and I call it a blue collar work ethic. You know what I mean? Like, I can't speak for anybody else.
The only guys that made money were the ones that are willing to work to death, and the dudes selling the pickaxes.
That's right, man. I can't speak for anybody else, but my first job was 12. I was 12 years old, and I was working in a stock room, and I was working. I think the law in Florida at the time was 20 hours a week, and the minute I got up to I think I turned 13. Was it 13? It popped over to 40 or 14. I don't remember the age, whatever. But I was working the max, you know, and I was, you know, I had a single parent. and the comic shop happened to be right next door to the grocery store I was in, and that was it. And I was like, well, I'm
Those were
you
his
know,
first stocks to him, by the way. Guys.
yeah. I was like, you're not kidding.
I'm not wasting money. This is a first introduction, babe.
Yeah, I need 5 copies of every single X-Men #1 cover.
No, babe, Cosmic Ghost Rider's gonna hit. I promise.
Cosmic Ghost Rider.
He's awesome, and I'll stand by it till I die.
Totally, Cosmic Ghost Rider is awesome. That's right. But yeah, this is the space where people, if you work hard and you bust your ass and you're willing to actually communicate with people and you're willing to open yourself up to where it's not about you, right? If you open yourself up to say, yeah, this is a world that I can create, but it ain't about me. If you can really embrace that and get out of your own asshole for a second, like, you have the opportunity to really build something great with a lot of really cool people that are going to stand by you for a long time. Because as long as you, like you said, Lawrence, it's about what you're really talking about is just delivering, man.
Yeah.
Like, and as long as you deliver, like, there's nobody in this space that's going to bat 1,000 all the time. There's going to be flops left and right, and it doesn't mean that we're just all human beings. But as long as you continually show up and you continually deliver and you open yourself up and you wake up and go to bat every day, realizing that it ain't about you, it's about serving other people. If you have that mindset, you can't lose, because you're going to do everything you can to build something of quality and something of value for people who trust you with their time, their money, and their energy. And if you do that, you're going to fucking win.
I'm going to throw a lifeline here to our thespian and resident philosopher, I have no doubt. But as Buddha once said, to give service to others is the highest calling. That's what karma is all about. Like, you don't fuck up the ripples, everything will be fine in your life. Yeah. So, we bring that same energy into this. Like, I had a friend kind of get in my teeth about when I said something he thought was really arrogant, when I was really careful about picking an NFT project. And he brought up that so many flop, this and that. And I go, no, listen, I respect and I understand all that. What I mean is that, like, up to this date, in a very challenging space, I've built a brand that you can trust. Lawrence Davis will deliver on this and this and this. And when we went into this space, which is very challenging, and NFT was really good about laying out expectations. And when he did that, which is a hard sale, I loved it. Everything I heard, I loved. Do you know what I mean? So what I meant is, I'm not saying because I'm a good commodity, because I'm an investor, because I'm a writer, because I have some traction in that space, not nearly to the degree of Todd, and I'm hoping I can get him for a couple connect. But what I'm saying is, I love and I've proven myself in this space. It wasn't saying that, hey, that means it's going to be a hit. What I'm saying is, I need to get behind a project that still has a 1 in 5 chance, because I'm going to bring a lot of that ethic to it, which will solidify that 1 in 5 chance, which is a wonderful opportunity in this space. And then even talking about that 1 in 5 space, when I got really more introduced to it, I started letting go of the anxiety of selling out, because I'm like, fuck, we're 3 seasons into this. We have, storyboards all the way out here. And I'm going, we'll just keep pumping it out.
Yeah,
that's it.
That is so. What shocks me is how in line we are.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like I got, as I listen to him, I'm like, yes, right? Because we have also, one of the core things we've done is we're like, let's treat this as if there are many seasons to come. But if we understand that this is a long running series, in whatever form it takes, right? It's long running series. Then what we do now matters. Yeah. Because what we do now sets the stage for all the future. And NFT, I would love to hear from you, because you've been quiet. So
yeah, well, I was gonna say it's disappointing that it's shocking that we're in alignment, right? Like, I would expect every project creator in this space to have the same mentality. And Larry and I are similar in the sense that, if we do anything, we do it 100%. There's no in between. Otherwise, it's not worth our time and energy to do it just to fake doing it. So I just think it's great, first of all, to be in a conversation with other people who see that same vision and have that same commitment. I think that it's amazing. And, looking in the chat here, that people are saying it's great and refreshing to have an adult conversation between 2 project creators in the NFT space. It's a testament to what you were saying earlier, that there's been so many cash grabs, and especially in the last 6-7 months, that have been making the space just so much more illegitimate. We need to come out of the woodworks, the real creators in the space, and breathe some life back into it, so that people can really depend on the promises that are being made in these projects.
Yeah.
Dude,
Absolutely.
I talk
Yeah.
about my need to have drive. Like NFT is him and one of our other principals they're real believers in this space, and they have real. And I don't want to throw them under the bus or anything, but these guys are serious collectors. And what I mean is not, oh, they have a lot of money. What I mean is they love this community.
Yeah.
So like even when I'm delivering, he's right behind me barking. And you would think I'm a unique creative type because I like that. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll get ruffled for a second, and then I'll go, nah, that's what I want. That's, at least, listen, everybody finds progression through whatever means they can. Whatever, like I used to tell veterans, I run a lot of men's health group and I do 501c work and I help adopt dogs to them. I used to get in trouble with therapists because I'd have dudes come into a group and they'd be mad. And I don't care if he's mad. If anger kept him alive today, I'll use it. Like I'll take that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and what I'm hearkening to is no matter what, he drives this project behind it. You know what I mean? If we're a month, which I really confidently feel we're quite ahead of schedule, he's going, keep moving, because we're just going to generate more excitement. Let's keep driving. And you love that in a partner. If you're trying to do the right thing, you love that in a partner.
Absolutely. 100%.
I'm really lucky to have him being my North Star on this stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
well, you keep me on it too, because some of these deadlines that we're trying to push, she's like, no, we're not ready. We need more time. We need more time. We need to make sure that this is right. So it's finding that balance is really important. That's why I feel blessed that this has been working out so well, amazingly. And this partnership has been so great. And it's just been such an exciting ride so far. We're really excited for what's to come.
What you just said is so resonates with Todd and I and with Melissa and Flint, the other core team member. We all have at multiple points, as a team said, is where we are right now where we need to be to launch the best thing we can launch, and if not, then we as a team are going to make a decision to take the time we need so that when we actually put something on the market, everybody can absolutely be excited and confident and dive in completely, because the reality is that we're all in this space too, and we want what we put out there to be something we want to own.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. And look, it's interesting. It's creative, but it's an investment. Again, and I'm gonna always pimp my firm. I'm proud of it. But at Pantheon, one of the things I learned from Chris was I'd have this great idea, and he goes, "Does this have finality, or is this just coming to fruition?" And I'd be like, "What the fuck's that mean? Have you thought this through to the end? Do you have a plan? Is there because he was a Marine. He's a very Marine. So that's one of the reasons I really get along with him. He's a Marine, very decorated himself, but he's proven in this side of the space too, with the suits, and he can talk that, and he knows how to keep everything where it needs to go. And he used to always say, does it have, he used to just show me, does it have legs? How do we really get behind it? Because we're fucking with other people's money.
That's right.
Exactly.
You have to take that serious. So again, when I came to the NFT space, I'm like, this is a fucking wild, wild west. NFT, these are the first questions he asked me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I went, oh, fuck, this guy, this is the other side of it. Again, then I'm finding that, you know what I mean? So you can take that foray into here. And that's, it's huge, man.
It absolutely is.
You remind guys in this space. I love, I'm going to learn how to say Providence right one day, but I love everything about what it gets back to artists and creative types. But my community, whom I love very deeply, needs to understand now you're at a place where there is deadlines and delivery, and that is demanded of you. And there is no longer a big brother who you can vilify and say they do all the mean, gnarly things and take all your money, which they did, Todd. What I'm saying is they were allowed to grow so big because we didn't follow through a lot.
That's right, 100%, 100%. And there was also a lot of not misunderstanding of power, and a misunderstanding of business, and a misunderstanding of what value is. They just don't know. They never knew. They still don't know. A lot of them. And I think one of the blessings that I have is kind of riding both worlds and working with tech startups and help mentoring and advising and having a track record of being able to grow businesses across multiple genres and spaces. Is you have to take it seriously, and you have to understand that you have to have milestones, you have to have goals, you have to hit them. And if you can't hit them, you have to readjust so you hit them. You have to be able to say, okay, like, you know, where are we? What are we going to do? How are we going to get this done? And when are we going to get it out? And you make it to the best of your ability. And you make sure that it's the most valuable thing that you can make at any given time. And then when it's out, you improve on it. You know, it is not something that ends at launch. It is something that begins at launch.
Mhm.
And
That's day one.
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I mean, we're not even at, that's what I'm saying. Like, we've been in this a year and it's not day one yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's about to be, which is freaky, but you know,
Good. That's good.
yeah, it's a really, you know, you just have to really understand, like Lawrence, like you said, man, you just have to really understand where you're going, and you have to be able to set the dominoes up in place so that you know where you're going, and drive the team to make sure that they understand that, you know, that this is what's going to be happening. And I think there's a lot of, in terms of a community and community support, you know, it also is, when you do that, when you set it up and you deliver like that, and the community sees that, or your people see that, it becomes a magnetic effect. It becomes an orbit that people say, oh, these guys are doing stuff. And this is another reason. Like we've had, you know, when I was talking to people, you know, other people, not people in our community necessarily, but other people in the space, influencers and all that, and they're talking about roadmap, and they're like, well, why aren't you doing, you know, I don't know, this or that or the other thing? And I was just like, well, because it's not, you know, that's a promise. It's not a deliverable. You know what I mean? Like it's a guess. You know what I mean? And it's also about blowing your load too early, man. It's like, why do I want to say that now? Like, let me prove what we can do. Let me blow the doors off of this thing that we've been working on. And then when we prove that we can do it and people are excited about it, then you have some stuff that you can like load up and fire. Like, why do you want to blow your load on the launch? And then you end up, you know, trying to scramble, like, you know, to try to figure out some magic drop that's going to keep the hype going. It's like, golly, man.
It's very telling. It really exposes the intentions of the creators of the project, right? If, like we were talking about, that sellout is so important. It's more important than anything else. Then obviously you should be a little bit careful with what's to come after the sellout. I mean, how are you going to keep the creators motivated after they have this wad of cash from their initial sellout, if that's what they're focused on the most? For us, it's, all right, it'll be really great. We want to sell out. We want to make sure we provide that immediate value to our community, but we know we're going to sell out because of how much crap we have coming.
That's right.
There's so much.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's absolutely. And it's because you know the future of your project. Like, there's no doubt, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt. And you know, I think it's really, it's about understanding. It's really, what you're really talking about is a different type of mindset when regards to selling out, right? It's a different type of mindset. It's like, are you talking about selling out on launch day, or are you talking about selling out over the course of the next 20 plus years as you work on something to build it? That's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Why are you here?
One of my personal heroes, and it always kind of throws people. One of my personal heroes is Kobe Bryant. So like, I'm a hood kid. So first icon I saw that like showed I was allowed to be intelligent, and he talked about drive, and you know, his methodology was imperfect at times, but it was just he kept putting the equity in. This became really a dream project of mine, because this is the culmination of my understanding of all the names I've dropped: Joseph Campbell, Tolkien, you know, the 7 original stories and the totems out there. Guys, and James will understand this, stop overcomplicating it. Get a hero, get a reason to like them, get them up a tree, get them down a tree. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the embodiment of all I've done on my creative side. And then, you know, and again, I'm always going to name drop it. I'm super proud of my company, but that gave me the discipline now to know how to build a creative thing in a way that works.
100%.
And so my whole life's journey has brought me to this moment. So like, when I tell people I picked the Awakening very conscientiously, it's because I knew it lent itself to like my whole constellation of strengths. And that even if none of y'all fucking like it, like, at least I could put out the best product I could. We did it with character, and we got it over the finish line.
That's right. That's the most important thing. That's go ahead, James.
I was gonna say, and it's so nice when you're working on a project that you totally believe in. It changes everything. And I think that one of the things that really is alive in the NFT space, which is fantastic, is that your success means the community's success.
Yeah, they're in line.
They're tied together. Exactly. They're completely aligned, and that's such a huge thing. So as we've created this project, the more excited we get about it, and the more that we're like, this is friggin' awesome.
Well, it's two
right?
things too, because oh, sorry, go ahead, James. I apologize.
No, please go ahead, go for it.
I was gonna say, like, so you're writing for a community.
Yeah.
And then now, so this community can have a reciprocal relationship. You can speak to them. So like Blunt Force Magic, my book I did, urban science fiction, super proud of it, Wild Blue Press. We got all the way to the Netflix stage. The guy who wanted to produce it was actually the producer of the last 2 Harry Potter films.
Awesome.
Some bureaucracy messed that up, unfortunately. But
no.
Imagine that. Motherfucker wants to buy it. And never mind.
Yeah.
I'm on drink number 3.
We both have war stories with
offline.
production and television.
The long and short of it was I knew how to reach that community. So in Blunt Force Magic, it's kind of interesting. So if we got any Buffyverse people here, imagine if Buffy and everybody died and fucking Xander was left. Imagine if the guy who built the tool or did the research, it was kind of like, oh, he's a pithy one-liner. So Blunt Force Magic is about that character is the only one that survives after a very tragic event. He has to go after a bad guy that's really a top-tier kind of bad guy. I wrote this to process my own PTSD because I didn't think I would have it. I was, don't worry about it. I'm really smart. I'm precocious. I read a book about psychology once. I know what I'm doing. Because that's what happens when you're precocious. It becomes arrogant really fucking fast. So if you survive all the ass kickings, you get back to normal. But I wrote this because PTSD kicked me in the ass. So I wrote this character that, while not innately terrifying, what it basically was a very lean, gaunt, lupine kind of wolfish looking character, but it had this ability that it could be a caricature of whatever terrified you most. And so it would be debilitating that way. And that's what PTSD essentially is. PTSD is not some one direction hit. It is, okay, what is your what is the persona that you've used to shield yourself best at defending against, and what is the person behind most scared against? And there's a thing called innervating where it just wears over time. The river beats the mountain. It cuts through it eventually. That's what PTSD does. So when PTSD finally got me to that point where rock bottom, and even the CEO of my company, again, why I always talk about him is he helped me with that too. And, I was able to write something that hit those veterans would read. I remember my editor being like, she'd read the fight scene, and she's a very top tier editor. I'm telling you, shouldn't have done anything with a book like mine. I barely got enough credits for a GD. Poor woman, shout out to Carla. She's a goddess, but really had to hang in there with me. But she would read the fight. She'd be like, you've been in fights. You've been in scary fights. Not like I'm a badass, I'm Ivan Draco. You've been in fights where the panic cuts, where you go, I've made a decision that's gonna be put me in a really ugly spot that'll fundamentally rewrite the trajectory of my life and my family's. So what I mean by all this is I wrote something that I knew fucking hit at least this community. In this space, I'm not promising to do that, but I'm promising if you guys create a dialogue with us, we will bring the right people in for that.
That's right.
We'll build a fun world, and it's not Earth, and I'm taking away from a lot of those so we can write parables again. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to get into the idiosyncrasies of, and nuance of social commentary and things like that right now. I'm writing a new world, parables on a pantheon, and just great old school storytelling that you guys can tell us what you want to look at right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I love everything about this opportunity.
That's absolutely the same thing. One of the things that, and I'm gonna bridge this to James, but with the way we're kind of setting this up is, and it's amazing. And one of my one of the ways that we set this up for adult fantasy was on my side, trying, and we talk about sandbox building, right? One of the things that we did on the art side is I said, okay, well, took all the things that I loved about the kind of the late 20th century, everything from, we took everything from influences from Thunderbirds all the way up to 90s X-Men. So the whole, that creating that style. So it's across somewhere, really it's a kind of a blending of Venture Brothers meets 90s comics, and the style is specific because we wanted in the idea of creating a sandbox, we wanted to create a style where if you were an animator or an animation team, you could look at the character and say, I could remove some of those lines and there's the animated character, right? It obviously looks like an animated character. On the flip side, if you wanted to push it into a comic or you wanted to do something more detailed with that, you could look at it and it has enough detail where you could actually understand the rendering of it, and you could take that character and go with that. And then for us, we have a backside of the card, and the backside of the card is lore based. And I want James to talk about it for sure. But like one of the things that we really worked on in the back of the card is, and this was like mind-bendingly difficult, surprisingly so, I think, is that we wanted to create, for when you talk about the biographies of the characters and the power levels and kind of, we're bringing in that kind of a classic card, like if you've ever seen like X-Men Series 2 back in the day and all that, where they have the power levels and all that stuff. Like, did you know that, Wolverine doesn't
Thing was level 7 strength and level 8 intelligence and whole.
You got it. So, but the challenge was, because we have limited space, we have this much space to create lore, at least on the card, right? At least on the NFT, and to craft. And I definitely want James to talk more about this because I'm going to butcher it. But like to the challenge of crafting an idea of a universe and relationships within this new foundation, but open and writing it in a way where it's open enough where if you wanted to create a D&D, like a full-on RPG module for it, it was absolutely there, right? But not so structured that you would be capped, right? Not so structured that you would be capped.
Well, if you get so structured, then two characters meeting each other, you already know the result of.
Right. Or saying,
I was going to say 2 things. I'll let James have the floor because I want to throw you off. Who's your favorite? Scott L., Grant Morrison, or Chris Claremont for the X-Men?
Oh, damn, dude.
Yeah. I told you no comics.
So
Morrison's my All-Star Superman, I swear by.
All-Star Superman is freaking brilliant. But I'm gonna lean towards Chris Claremont.
It's got to be Chris. I'm
gonna lean towards Chris Claremont. I thought,
I say a little story.
James, go ahead, please.
So this is this is a little side story, but the first time I went to Comic-Con, Todd is like, so do you want to go there with me? And I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah, sure, let's hang out. And he's like, okay. So he basically, like, Comic-Con was training. Comic-Con, it was like walking around with Professor Comics. So Todd takes me all the way to the back of Comic-Con, where it's the bins, and he
always treasure hunters at heart, dude.
Exactly. Yeah. And he pulls out a drawing and he goes, "Do you know who this is?" And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "You don't know who this is?" And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "James, this is the beginning of comics. This is Kirby. This is right." And he takes me through all the history of comics.
Kirby, huh? You
Right,
hit him with that,
right. Like Todd, Todd literally, like he's a trove of lore, of comic lore. So when Todd said to me, so we need a writer on our project, and I think you should be it. And I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my God, like, the guy who knows every bit of comic lore in the world wants me to craft stories, characters, like, right. So the challenge Todd is talking about is exactly, Lawrence, it's exactly what you're talking about when you're talking about creating characters and using the Joseph Campbell model, and you want to create a character that is open enough, like that we know what the defining principle is. Mm-hmm. And we know how they relate to the world, but we're not telling people what they do in the world, right? So it's like, how does this person relate to this world they're in? And then when you do that, when you say this is the relationship, then that person can go off in the world and have journey and stories and episodes and battles, and right. And so the challenge of creating the characters from the story side of it has been to make each of the characters have a relationship to each other,
yep,
and to the universe that they're in a dynamic way that is the launching off place.
Yeah, organically so too.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things. And when doing our story, in Awakening, you're coming into the world after the Catalyst event that creates some powers. And the interesting thing about this is the event happens every 10,000 years. So it's 2 years into the second time that event happens, and they realize the pantheon of old gods that they used to think were parables were like, oh fuck, these guys were heroes too. You know what I mean? So it's a fun dichotomy of that. And I did it midway into the story too, because I thought throughout the progression of the journey I could give you, and this is why guys like Joseph Campbell are so important. I have two characters who are completely into their identity. Their opening issue is, here's what I am. I'm a banger. I got my ethos set. Two of the guys are kind of mid-tier into it. They're doing that Spider-Man fumble right through it kind of a little bit. Like, okay, I got some powers and I'm trying to do good, but fuck, I can't make it to school. You know what I mean? And then, of course, you have the guys who are going on this journey initially and coming into it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then I have a couple fun outliers I put out there. You know, mercenary here, a voodoo guy here. You know, but you use these archetypes, and again, you flesh them out, and then a guy like James gives them depth. A guy like James can take the most cookie cutter character in the world and give you a reason to give a fuck about him. And at the end of the day, there's only so many characters you can write. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that depth is, again, a kind of paramount that makes sure that it creates traction with the people. That's huge. I understand why actually James, somebody like him would go, hey, you write the word. Because me and Todd are going to write 10 characters you've fucking seen before. The characters in The Awakening, I have spent a long time building these guys, but I have 100 other characters who I still fucking love. And I go, oh shit, this is Batman. Like, you know what I mean? And I swear I didn't mean it. Don't worry about it, Mr. Kane. Like, I love you. Like, but you guys I knew didn't have that. But somebody like you, James, bring that. You have a fresh set of eyes and you understand storytelling. And if we can download the love of comics into you, and you can give it the reverence that I deeply feel it deserves. This is our new pantheon. Then fuck yeah, let you go nuts. You know, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and Todd, I mean, we've really, like, all of the characters. I mean, in our case, I've followed Todd as the lead. So that really our animator, Todd as the animator is the lead of the storytelling. So the character drawings. I mean, it
is a visual medium.
Yeah, and we've worked a lot in tandem, right? So sort of like imagining a space in which, like because our cards de-age over time, we were like, well, okay, so how does the universe of our space contain multiple temporal instances? And so what we did was our universe. There's a gloam, which is a fourth dimensional space created by aliens to encapsulate a primordial creature that's a destroyer of planets.
That's right.
Okay, so that's not quite beyond Earth. That true form dark side. I'll get there, Todd. I'll sorry.
And the
similar to Todd in this.
And the gloam encapsulates all of Brooklyn. And the creature, the demon, the demon of the dark, the primordial, awakens, and it awakens in a gloam that's a fourth dimensional zone of multiple decades of the 20th century, which is all of the golden age of comics.
That's cool. That's
right.
Cool.
So right. So all this is alive simultaneously. So fourth dimensional creatures exist. Right. So we've done as much as we can to tie in the world building to the actual card we've created. So the de-aging of the card is actually present in the world itself of the imagination. So there are a lot of multiple. We're playing on multiple levels at once, which is really fun, right? Like that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Really quick, I want to share the website. So Awakening. Is awakeningnft.io, right?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share the website so we'll get it on screen and we'll get people, because everyone needs to go see this. Let's see if I can.
We're really proud of the website, and then some of the sketches and the other stuff that we're having out for you guys. We think you guys are really going to dig.
Yeah, I will say there's still a little bit of tinkering that needs to go on the website, so please spare us.
Yeah, we're still.
Right.
Yeah, no pressure. We all feel it, right?
Yeah. No, fantastic. I mean, a fantastic site, and the artwork is phenomenal, guys. You guys should absolutely just speaking as someone that has been doing this for a long time. For you guys out there who are watching this, I cannot stress to you how difficult it is to find art and an artist. it's not difficult to find a talented artist. It's a very, very, very difficult to find a talented artist that can actually deliver
Yes.
on a recurring, regular basis. So and this artwork is fantastic.
And you know what you're really going to like is we have 3 different mediums. I hired 2 freelance guys, a studio, and then NFT takes care of the NFT directive side.
Yeah.
So we can make everybody in every side of the project very happy with what they're getting.
For sure. Is there anything on the site that you guys want me to go over or you want to talk about?
You know, I wanted to give a little love to, if you go up a little bit, that right there is Empyrean, the one in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
She is the one I'm currently fleshing a little more out right now. I think you guys will really dig her. She is a Grant Morris Superman who's endured a whole bunch of wars, so has a little bit of hardship to her. So she's one of the most complete characters, and it's going to be fun because she's the one whose story is already like really complete, and therefore she's going to have to change some of her ethos to adapt to the world and some of the characters coming up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she's the one I really put a lot of love in this week, so I'm really happy about her. She's got a little bit of that 80s Wonder Woman, you know, and someone goes, "You can't kill me," and then she goes, "I'm not Batman, brother." Like, you know what I mean? But like also that comes from a hardship. You know what I mean? So I'm illustrating her to let people know that while they're going to be coming into the middle of the story, we're going to do a really wonderful job of comprehensively building it and making it exciting and dynamic. You know, we got a bunch of lore already really fleshed out. That'll be a lot of fun to dig into once people get into this.
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
It absolutely is. Now, you guys are live, right?
No.
It's your pre-mint, right?
No.
Yeah.
So we the way we separated it out is we really wanted to focus on community building and engagement. You know, to say we want to reward our closest fans. So instead of doing a traditional whitelist or pre-sale, we're actually just letting people have free mints. So we're going to be doing a pre-sale, I guess, quote unquote, pre-sale whitelist free mints just before the public sale on the 5th of December.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. So tell me, now you got me curious. How does that work? So you do the free mint, you just kind of do a pre-whitelist free mint, and then you open it up for sale, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's I mean, I would love my dev guy to go a little bit more into depth than this, but ultimately, there's 2 lines of contract, and one is dedicated directly towards those pre-whitelisted addresses that can go ahead and mint their one for free.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, there's a secondary stage, and everybody goes in and mints from there.
That's fantastic. Very cool, man.
And we're trying to utilize the space. We want there to be, you know, we want this website to essentially become an encyclopedia of the story.
Yeah.
And so we're actually going to have directly on the site, there's going to be the collection where you can view your comics. I mean, we're working on building it out right now and finalizing it, but ultimately on a weekly basis, you come here to come get your release for the week, whichever season that we're on, and you can go ahead and view them all there.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's wicked. That's absolutely
really
wicked.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome, guys. And then here I'll share ours real quick.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, let's see. Gotta stop sharing. Gotta share again. Gotta click a bunch of buttons. Gotta always find it. It's like gotta find the 19 tabs that do the thing. All right, so this is ours. It's adult fantasy. It's adultfantasy.io.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's awesome.
So that is literally what the NFT looks like. The grading at the bottom, and I'll show you guys. So minting, we start our pre-sale. So our whitelist mint starts. Oh God, it's late at night. December 4th.
Yeah.
James, our public.
Poor James.
Yes, December 4th.
December 4th
All right,
is the
thank you,
first.
Melissa.
You're like, you guys are like, is it live? I'm like, fuck, I don't know. I'm right.
I don't know
Like-
anymore.
It's Sunday night.
I'm highly aware of when the contract needs to be up and running. So
So our whitelist starts December 4th, and then the public mint is December 11th.
Yes.
This kind of shows you a little bit on the site. We actually show a little bit, kind of a movie that plays that kind of gives you an idea of the curve and how it changes over time. So you can kind of see like it starts off a little crappy, and then over time, it actually changes organically, kind of evolutionary, in an evolutionary way. So I'm really excited. I already, like, I think everybody here, like, I incessantly check OpenSea already every day
On like an hourly basis.
on an hourly basis. So now, yeah. So now
Totally.
I'm kind of excited to like I'm kind of excited to actually like this card will change. So it's kind of interesting to see like how it's going to change and if it's changed and if not, like
What a wonderful, fun concept. What a great way to illustrate. Oh man.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you. And if anyone that wants to see, I'm not going to go into it right now, but we actually like break down we have something called a utility matrix that really
Courage the Cowardly Dog there too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep, 100%. And so yeah, our utility matrix. It's like how we think about utility on a project. We baked it into every single part of it. So the character, the card, and the case. And so without going too deep into it, anybody can come to the site, check it out. Likewise, in fact, what I'll do is for everybody here, I will copy the Awakening because everyone should check out you guys' site as well.
Yeah.
Pop it in the chat. I'll pop it on screen.
And we were really happy too because I almost kind of the pre-AMA that we had, guys. We really had a fun conversation, but
I wish we recorded that too, actually.
I know.
Yeah, like I was like, geez, we just kind of going, and then sometimes they're either like awkward or you just go, but it's what I really like about the NFT space too, and not that cryptography hasn't been wonderful to me, but this is the first. The NFTs are cool because listen, like one of the great things I heard about a guy who was lecturing about Decentraland, that one of his large talking points that he really beat home was his biggest piece of pride was Decentraland University, because eventually he wanted to have guys from like Algo Brand, the Nobel laureates, things like that, dudes who really believe in crypto. Hey, I want to build a university. Somebody's NFT attends the lecture and they do all their work. They can get this check mark. We're really rewriting so many things. Do you know what I mean? And that became such a cool thing for me. And now, like, to be, like you were saying, a part of it is, it's a lot of fun. And even though there was, so where I was going with the education thing is one of the things that these guys talked about before doing this is we want this to be very intuitive. Right. So like, there's a great Far Side comic where as much as they're funny all the time, there was this thing that says American schools, and it has, tigers, it has giraffes, it has rhinos, elephants, all these other things. And the project was to go up a tree, get the bananas, go down the tree. And if you did that, you were smart. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
That's so painful and true.
So they're going, what the fuck? So
oh my God.
Cryptocurrency, as much as we didn't want it to be that way, it very much took a certain kind of mind. But what I really respected about the minds coming together about this was they were trying to build something on a larger scale. NFT is allowing, though the hump is a little complicated, for intuition and things like that. Metaverses, things like this, allowing for intuition and your own prowess to kind of decide what is going to be the mechanism which you learn from, teach from, and grow through. And, it's really cool to be a part of that space. You know what I mean? And as people assimilate all this stuff in this medium and learn to do it in a way that they have their own Otis for, how could you not be excited for it?
Yeah, no, I don't think people fully understand exactly what we're actually I don't even know if we totally understand how this is going to change.
Oh, we don't know what we did with it.
This is such a new game, and it's so obviously, and I think if you have the foresight and you have the balls to make this to say, you know what, I'm going to build this project, I'm going to actually build this company and build this space and like really jump in 100%, intrinsically how important this sea change is, right? You can sense it, you can see it for sure because we live it every day, but you certainly can't completely see the future. But the tectonic shift that this is, and how we create as a culture and as a society, and what we're going to be able to make, and who the people, like, this is the future of film and TV and comics and creativity. And
listen, I've had, look, and I'm a little bit of a brazen dude. I don't know if you got that from the poorly thought out tattoos, but like we started our conversation beforehand. If proprietary rights went to the people who most deserve them, porn stars would be some of the wealthiest motherfuckers alive.
That's right.
I can name a porn star. Everyone here will go, yep. Which means to me that somebody has gone to their medium enjoyed their content, and they haven't been celebrated for it. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
These are people who are living a predatory.
They're still fighting for it. They're still fighting. And one of the reasons
They're
they're
still
changing.
fighting for it. The intermediary guys are all predatorial because obviously constellates around sex. And, you know, again, as a progressive dude, look, man, I like sex as much as the next guy, but in the professional atmosphere, these people should be given their due diligence.
That's right.
People are putting out stuff that we universally enjoy as a community. You know,
That's
like,
right. Well,
you
I mean, look,
porn things, you're going to have billionaires in the porn industry. So in this medium right here is my same argument. Like I keep saying to Todd, to give him a shout out that I really want him to take fucking ownership of. This motherfucker would be retired if we had NFTs 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He's really being subtle. I've gone through his page. He was at the precipice of some of the most exciting comics. Well, excuse me, not comics, but the first marriage of a show that was trying to wink at kids smarter than parents knew they were, but trying to put content out that everybody agreed with and really creating a whole universe. Do you know what I mean? There was a myriad of dynamic characters in every one of those shows way before their time.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys like me would now, when we have fuck you money, would start spending fuck you money on them. And if he had that kind of provenance,
you got it. You're good. You're good.
But if they had the kind of like I said, he'd obviously be here because he's a passion project dude. He'd be here rapping with us, this like that. His watch might be nicer, his vacation my home might be bigger, but he'd still.
I don't stop, man.
No, I'm the same way, dude. The point I'm trying to drive home really and ultimately is that you know, gives that back to guys like that. You know, he's a living example of that. You know what I mean? James, you know, we didn't get to talk more about your DNA, but your resume in terms of acting and where you came from is amazing. Do you know what I mean? If we found a way in perpetuity to give credit for that, that would be huge.
I honestly, the other way that I look at it is that we should be able to live normal lives creating what we create, right? Like it's so like I don't know about you guys, but like as a New Yorker, I mean, I grew up in Chicago, and the same story. Like I have the same story. Like my dad said to me, you know, if you want to go to college, you're paying for it. You know, like you got to match your fund, match funds. So you know, I started working, you know, right away, you know, as a teenager, and it's like if we all received the same reward for our efforts that some other kid who had so many other privileges got, we wouldn't have to have 3 jobs, right?
Right.
And if we chose to have 3 jobs, then we would be rewarded for that effort. Yeah. And I think that NFTs represent a radical shift, and it takes out the middle, not I'm not saying middleman, but it takes out the whole middle structure of reaping benefit away from.
I used to tell intermediaries all the time this: Are you a bridge builder or are you a tax?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Too often they became taxes in this, you know. Sorry, I didn't mean to take you off your momentum.
No, but that's exactly right. You know, and so the question that I think of where we are now is this is the Wild West with so many open possibilities, right? Like I literally said to my wife this morning, we took a walk this morning, and I said to her, I said, you know, one of the amazing things about what we're creating right now is that it is totally possible that by next year, this will become so commonplace that you've got people meeting in meeting rooms, three-dimensional meeting rooms from around the world to talk about things and to learn things and discuss things, and that is going to become normal.
Yeah.
Right, like we're gonna and we may walk in as our avatars, right?
Yeah,
like, we will.
Like, you know,
I'm one of the last generation of dudes who want a handshake, and I respect that because look, I'm one of those. I respect the old guard. You know, I think they're the guys that we're writing stories about. Do you know what I mean? Because they're our fathers and mothers, and they're the ones that we're gonna try to bring some remembrance to. So like I do respect them, but like there are days where a dude's like, I need to get in front of you and shake your hand and sniff you. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? All right, fine. You know what I mean? I'm like, we can't Zoom this, but all right, you know, like but you're right, because now it moves so fast that you're right. I think that's gonna be commonplace.
So I'm gonna jump in just a quick. I want to make sure that if anybody in the audience has questions, we certainly want to answer some of the questions you guys have. I know Strictly 3 Sports asks, site looks fire. What do you plan to do to separate from the other popular comic NFT that's out there? I'm not totally sure which project he's talking about. I'm going to say he's talking about both of our projects.
Yeah.
You guys go first.
Go for
it.
Oh, man. So what do you plan to do to separate from the other? Well, so the first thing that we're doing, obviously, is the mechanics that we actually have baked into the NFT itself. The fact that the NFT is alive and it moves and it changes. So the value is based on something other than just one or two rarity traits, right? That plus the lore is in itself a differentiator. In terms of comics and the actual creation of products, there's a couple things that I would say to that. I would say that, and I'm not going to point fingers because everyone does their own thing differently, but a lot of the other projects are top down. So they're coming up with the things that they want to make, and they're coming up with the stories that they want to make, and they're putting it out there in almost it's a traditional fashion, right? I mean, they're in the NFT space, but there's a lot of traditionalness baked into it. And I think the difference, and just from talking to the Awakening guys here, like I think we're kind of on the same page with this, where it's bottom up, right? It's a lot more integrated, and from our perspective, at least from adult fantasy, we're already working in ways to bring in the community into character building and into lore creation and into like the direction. Like one of our guiding lights is I don't know if you guys remember like Which Way books or Choose Your Own Adventure. But it's kind of, I mean, there's a lot of that into what we're actually building, where the community is actually helping us build what it is that we're going to be doing. And it's not, it goes, and we mean that very literally, right? So that the characters that come out are going to be with community involvement in a very deep way. And so it's not just about us coming up with cool characters and trying to make cool comics, right? Like that's fun, but that's not how you build something that's going to last 100 years. Like I'm one dude. Even if we had a team of 50 people, like that's not enough to create something that's going to be around for 100 years. Like it took Marvel and Disney. It took took damn near a century and thousands of people, right? And I think when James mentions crowdsourcing at least for adult fantasy, like that's how you hack that century-long process. You bring people in right now, and you give them the keys.
Ferret it out of them.
Yeah, you give them the keys. You say, look, certainly for at least a short time, we're going to be driving the bus because we've been doing this before, right? We've done this, so we know we know the potholes. Like, oh, you got to avoid that pothole. Let's go over this way. We know the road. But once that foundation is set, and as people come in and take more and more control over the project, eventually this project lives on without us, and that's the point. So I think that's a huge differentiator right there from a lot of the other stuff that's out there, at least from my perspective.
How about you, Lawrence? What would you say about your project?
My answer is the same as Todd's. It's just we're going to do it better than him.
I love that.
I think
Get up, like, what am I? All right.
To add to that, and obviously we're coming into a brand new medium for this type of art in the storytelling platform. But we want to make sure we honor the traditional history of comic books, and we create an homage to true collectors and people that have been in the space for decades, and at this point, damn near a century, pretty much. At the same time, allowing opportunities for people to collect in ways that wouldn't be possible in a physical sense.
Yeah.
So that's how we're trying to differentiate ourselves on top of just creating the most badass, community-driven and inspired story that we possibly can.
Yeah. And one of the things, name drop. I'm friendly with David Yu, the CEO of Ecomi, the VV blockchain, has a great bunch of licensing ship partners, and he and I have had a couple long form conversations. I was one of the initial buyers, and I hold, full disclosure, I hold a lot of Omi, like a lot. And there's so much room in this space for the collaborators. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think what I would like to at least pride myself on the differences is like, Todd, James, and I have an absolute plan to have a conversation offline. I'm happy to share things like that. But if there's some crossover, I'm here for. If there's collaboration in terms of just insight, I'm here for. If these guys are open to me calling them and going, hey, Todd, I'm really stuck on this, and I got this character, but I don't want it to be this. And Todd's going, fuck, I'm doing something similar. If you go left, I'll go right. You'd be surprised how much that happens, Mm-hmm. But as long as you have a good ethic about it.
Yeah.
So, it's our responsibility to vet guys like us with each other. This conversation is the first step for that. But moving forward, it is collaboration, not just with the community, but everybody else. And I learned that again, funny enough, with the high aim of these projects, both how do I bring creative integrity to it, but again, with Pantheon and the hedge fund and being a part of conglomerates, because that's where you're aiming. You're trying to be a conglomerate with more character and not just being pithy and funny about characters. Ha ha ha. We're trying to carry with character, like in an ethos. And we have these conversations with these guys who have seen these models not only to the fruition, but to the point that you're aspiring to. And again, they do it with a certain diligence. So, being open and receptive, both to the community and other creators is big for me. And then trusting that it's my time to tell a great fucking story.
Yeah.
That really, really, really and truly, like, I don't know how else to say it. I'm one of those guys that at the end of the day, like, humility has led me to the point of knowing when it's time to be cocky.
That's right. Amen to that, dude.
Dude, I sit down, I listen to guys like Todd, like with the right reverence. I meant every fucking thing I said about that guy, but I'm happy to be in a space where I'm running right next to him. It's
and you do.
Todd, I mean that hopefully with the right frequency, and you understand.
No, 100%, 100%. Well, it's experience leads confidence, right? Like where you are. You know what I mean? And what time it is. And I'm not saying that as like a pejorative. I'm saying like, no, it's literally, you it is time to create, and it is time to write. And this is the opportunity to do that. And we're all every single one here is on the same equal plane. Like there's no, like, and what's crazy is that we're on here's the other thing. And I think a lot of people don't, and this also comes from a little bit of experience, is that when people talk about, oh, it's a marathon, not a sprint, like, it's one thing to say, it's a different thing to understand. And I've been around long enough to see incredible companies blow the fuck up, where they launch and they just make tons of money and they're super popular, and you're just like, what the hell? Like, how could I ever catch them as a competitor or as another startup in the space? And time solves everything. Every single one of those companies fades. Right? Not all of them, there's always outliers, but there's always the chance. Like the things that are hot today does not mean they're going to be hot 5 years from now. The projects that are not hot today does not mean they're not going to be burning hot 10 years from now. You cannot, it's about the drive, and it's about the motion. It's about the movement of the team and the commitment that the team has to continue to knock it out of the motherfucking park as much as they possibly can. And that's why it's an equal playing field. It doesn't matter how much ETH you have in the bank. It doesn't matter how much you sold or didn't sell, because it can change tomorrow. It can change tomorrow.
Dude, I'm going to put out regular I'm announcing it kind of now, and we haven't completely run it through NFT, but it's an idea that's very feasible, and it was in the sphere of a DAO. We're going to basically do spots where we encourage people to write their own kind of their own fiction within this world. The same things that did with Star Wars. We'll have the community vote on them, and I'm going to give them a writing assignment. You want to be a writer, you want to be a creator, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give this opportunity in this pocket of the story. Do you fill that in? Whatever kind of character you want, whether you want
it's exactly right. I mean, Paco's smiling because
Star Wars. How did Star Wars get built? Fanfic.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Right. But now we'll have a DAO. The fans can come together on that. And then NFT and I can
We are so in alignment.
I had to get you guys after the faded car thing. I'm sitting there going, fuck, that was brilliant. We're so in alignment, and it's I mean, I don't want to repeat what you just said. No, please.
But it's what I want to speak to is that, I mean, we're doing the same thing. We're creating it's basically a creativity DAO.
So guys, I've been behind like the first 4 things they've dropped. I got this.
But what you're talking about is so critical.
Dude, Boba Fett wouldn't have a legacy without people who just fucking love the dude.
That's what I'm saying.
That fell into a really poorly drawn out fucking pit.
That's right.
Exactly. And
also Mandalorians, we have Django, we have all of that from us. That came from us.
Totally. And the harnessing. If we think of it as like harnessing energy, right? You have a community of people who love what you're creating. And it's like there are people in there who want to be like, nah, I just want to own. Fantastic. You just want to own it. Fantastic. You want to be a part of you want to get part of a DAO or part of a treasure vault or part of a share of the creative energies coming out. Fantastic. You want to create, you want to draw, you want to create, you want to write. Fantastic. Right. And this media, the space we're in is a space in which all of those things can be energized.
Yeah.
And that is completely different from how the big conglomerate multiverses have been running up until now. And I think that the NFT space creates an opportunity for a radical change. And when we are in total alignment as teams about harnessing that opportunity.
Yeah.
So
I'm telling you right now, we're gonna have a very good relationship moving forward.
Yeah.
Depending on what part of Florida you're in, I'm actually going to be out in Miami for Decentralized Con in 2 weeks, and so maybe we can figure something out. Yeah,
we'll talk. I was actually thinking about maybe going to that. So
I'm in Miami as well, in West Palm Beach area. So you guys ever around? Let me know. Love.
Damn it! That means I got to come to Miami.
Everybody listening, if you guys are going to be around, we can set something up.
I'm in Brooklyn, so I'll
Well, see, James, when you said that originally and you put that whole sphere around there, my whole family's from Red Hook. Like,
oh, seriously, dude.
Yeah.
I'm in Brooklyn Heights, so there.
Oh, all right, yeah. Every summer I was in Red Hook, till 2003. Every summer.
I love it. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of good overlap, but
yeah.
You know, I think with this project, ultimately, the type of collaboration we're talking about, the legacy we want to imprint. You know, I aspire for thousands of comics, but I aspire for as many writers and contributors. You know what I mean? And believe in the crawl, walk, run model, build a good business. I say this quote all the time when I'm talking to people, you know, who I know have been around money and have been hurt by it. I say, look, I don't do good business because I'm a good guy. I do good business because it's good business. That's right. I just happen to be a good guy, and I'm proud of that fact. But that's the model, you know. And I bring that into what we're doing here. You know what I mean? I do good business because it's good business.
It makes it easier to do good business with a good guy. It makes it
true.
And NFT, bro, I'm gonna tell you, he's not showing his pretty face or anything like that, but he's a hell of a dude, and he really fucking believes in this stuff, and he is so arduous about making sure that we adhere to follow through with the community. So it's really wonderful to have a partner like him.
That's right. We got I think we got everybody pretty hyped.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you also. Thank you to the community for sticking with this. For being here. You guys who are listening in, and guys. I don't mean guys as male, but guys and gals community. You are everything, and as teams, we understand that community is everything. Yep. So your support and your being here means everything to us.
For sure, 100%.
Absolutely. And I can tell you guys how much it was just absolute pleasure to be a part of this conversation. I had a wonderful time. I'd love to do it again.
I have a feeling this is the first of many.
Yeah. This is great.
It's actually got me thinking of some opportunities.
Just let me be a part of the conversation first.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk offline.
Hey, dude, listen. I don't want to be over ambitious. I want you guys to make sure that you trust the ethic of what we're building. But man, I'm not going to say that DC and Marvel haven't fucked with each other once in a while.
Bro, dude, I got in trouble.
I'm just not using that douchey dude in the wormhole.
No, man.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about.
I used to get in trouble. I used to get in trouble at Marvel because I would create shots and scenes where I would take Marvel, either Marvel characters and kind of mess with them, or I would take classic DC covers and do them with Marvel characters. Do you remember? And they were like, "Oh, we don't want to upset the people." I was like, "Why the fuck not? You're not. It's not the same company. You guys are. Oh, we don't want to." I was like, just because DC sends you comics every month and you're sending them comics every month, who gives a shit? Go to bat, man. Beat them.
Yes, man. Look at the way we are, man. How many fun, pithy one-liners we shot at each other.
That's right.
You guys keep that same energy. You know what I mean? Back and forth, dude. And dude, when Kirkman, speaking of Invincible, right before Invincible really hit off, at 60, right before the Invincible Wars, he does a weird time hop, and he ends up in one series, and you see a blue glove and a fist and some blades, and he goes, "Wait a second, so you're a bat and a man, and your name is Bat," and then another series later, you see very obviously Spider-Man making, he goes, "Wait, you're a and he goes, "Never mind, you know what? Never mind." He's like, "I just have to go home." So, I appreciated Image for being that kind of upstart little brother. You know what I mean?
100%.
I always want to have fun like that, but you do with character. You know what I mean? People know when you're making fun of them. People know when you're poking fun of them.
Well, that's right. Well, there was that. Wasn't the first issue of Spawn, but it was the first few issues of Spawn where Spawn is walking through this dungeon, and there's all these hands reaching out from behind these.
17.
Yeah, they're damn.
And
You got the number.
Superman, Batman. Oh, actually, it's 18 because someone's gonna check that.
Yeah. It's got all it's got the Superman hand, the Batman hand, like all reaching out, like they're in the.
It had actually Pitt in there too.
Yeah,
Because
it did.
their resident like Hulk,
right.
and it had
That's right.
Savage Dragon, had everybody. That was cool.
Yeah, that's right. That's great, man. That's exactly.
Todd, you might draw better than me, but I'm gonna do my best.
No, man, you got the numbers. I don't have the numbers down. I can't launch into issue numbers.
No, I mean, and I'm going to tell you this too, and being very forward before I guess we kind of wind it up, dude. It's a real pleasure for a guy like me. Like I said, hey, I'm going to poke fun of you for being a little older, but guys like you really created the stories that kept me through childhood and brought this out of me. So in a lot of ways, what a joy to have one of the first conversations with a guy like you, and I'm extremely honored, and it's such a pleasure. And every day I'm going to try to write stories that guys like you love, so you're proud. But guys like you wrote stories that got my head moving in a different way. So it's such a cool opportunity.
Yeah, man, and it's actually an honor. Likewise, like to meet people in another team that has the same passion and the same drive for the right reasons.
Totally.
And I think that's super important. And just for the record, I'm actually 27. James is 30. We just hard. So,
you guys have been working that hard in the last year, huh?
This is NFTs right here. NFTs.
Exactly.
I'll walk in and someone will be like, "So is this cryptocurrency thing hard?" And I'll be like, "I'm 21." Pretty sick. Holy shit!
Yeah,
That's
for
funny.
I had a talk tonight, guys, and I'd really love again to do this. And
Awesome.
Absolutely. And everybody, like I want to give another shout out to everybody. Dusty says, thank you for building our community. Todd, Paco, Melissa, Lawrence. It's really nice to hear you take on everything. And I will definitely be checking out The Awakening. Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
For sure, man. Absolutely. I'm so excited that and so happy that we ended up doing this.
Yeah.
I love this
exchange information, do a follow up. I'm gonna get you drinking with me. We'll go out there and get James hungover for his last time.
Let's do it.
No, it's first time. He just turned 21, right?
Exactly. I'll bring my new ID. Yeah.
Everybody, go over to The Awakening. I'm going to share it. Let's see. I got to dig out. I'm going to go back up to I tried to put all of our links in the same thing, and it just botched it. So here's The Awakening. Go there, sign up, hit their Discord, join it. These guys are the real deal. They're legit. I'm absolutely going to support them 100%.
Yeah. Same here.
And everybody from The Awakening that joined us, we really appreciate it. Please go check out Adult Fantasy. I love how many parallels we have with one another and how aligned we are. This is awesome.
Absolutely, and I feel very confident that you guys are going to be around for years, so I really am excited to begin this relationship and really like push this to the next level for sure.
Yeah. When NFT's down here in Miami, man, just brave it one time. We'll have a good day.
We will for sure. And so everybody, hit it up. Say hello to us. None of us are strangers. We all want to talk and we all want to engage. We will do this again. And everybody that's on, we'll hang out for a second after this is off. We'll talk for a minute. But everybody, thank you so much. And any last words? Are we good?
No, thanks so much, everyone, for sticking through 2 hours with us.
Yeah, man, it's super fast. I know we could do this for like another 2 hours.
We did 2.5 hours, man. We were all like, I was like, wait till that. Really, truly, thank you guys. Thank you for sharing a wonderful community with us. We hope to bring you some exciting stuff. Obviously, we're going to let everybody know how cool your stuff is too.
Likewise, guys. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time.
Have a good one.
Peace out. Peace.
Talk to you soon, guys.
Bye.
Later, James.
Bye, guys.